All right, so thank you everybody for joining us for this evening's special Ossining Town Democratic Committee meeting. As has been stated, for anyone who is on a little early, this is a different format than usual. It is a webinar style, at least for the Q&A portion of the meeting, which is the beginning of the meeting. And that means that most folks cannot see themselves on screen. The program is being recorded and it will later be shared on the Ossining Town Democratic Committee YouTube channel, the Q&A portion anyway, if not the full meeting, probably not. And I want to say thank you to the ad hoc committee of Ossining Town Democratic Committee members who were planning and facilitating tonight's Q&A. That is most of us you can see on screen: Marlene Cheatham, Carolyn Curvin, myself, Christina Picciano, and Kemi Pogue. Kemi was called away for a family emergency at the last minute, where our thoughts are with her as she is taking care of a loved one. And this committee curated the questions that you will hear tonight for each of the contested races. And as you will see, we're facilitating the Q&A tonight. Tonight's agenda begins with Q&A for 3 candidates seeking our endorsement to run for village trustee and to be on the ballot in 2023. Just prior to the meeting, we hosted a random selection of the order in which the candidates will provide their opening remarks. For the village, it will be Bob Fristche, followed by Omar Lopez, followed by Nicole Varisco. In the town, it will be Steve Felsenfeld, followed by Matthew Weiss, followed by Greg Meyer. So we will have Q&A from those 3 village candidates, followed by brief remarks from 2 candidates who had sought to serve on the town council, but have chosen not to participate in tonight's Q&A. That's Bob Daraio and Pat Yost. We will hear from them. And then we will move on to the Q&A with the 3 candidates who are seeking to run for town council in 2023. And they are seeking to get the Ossining Town Democratic Committee endorsement. As you can see now, some folks are appearing on screen. Christina is bringing the village candidates into the panels. You will be able to see them during the meeting. Christina, did you remember to pin Caroline, by the way, our timekeeper?
I'm going to do that now.
Awesome. At our February 13th meeting, we will be voting to endorse candidates for any and all of the races that will be on the ballot in November. For these races where there is competition for our endorsement, where we have more candidates seeking our endorsement than there are seats, the top two of three who gain the highest weighted vote will have the Ossining Town Democratic Committee endorsement. If you are a district leader, we hope that you are able to attend the February 13th meeting at 7:30, or that you will send in a proxy. Proxy forms will be sent out next week and will need to be submitted to the committee at least 24 hours before the vote. Tonight's format is guided by the recommendations of the League of Women Voters. And so with that, we will begin with the village candidates. So the order for village candidates will begin with Bob Fristche. So Caroline, when you're ready, we'll start the timer to allow Bob to have 90 seconds for his opening statement.
You ready? Everybody hear me okay? Well, good evening, everybody. I would like to first of all thank the committee and the people that put this together. As always, a good job, very professional. By now, most of you, I would think, know who I am. I'm into my 4th year on the board, and it's been a great experience. A lot of learning in the first 2 years. We passed a lot of laws. I think I forget, I lost count the 1 year, Omar. We lost a lot. We did a lot, but we have a lot on our plate. We have, I think, in more than 20 projects slated, and we have accepted over $30 million worth of grant money to go towards a lot of these projects. For example, the downtown revitalization initiative is $10 million. So, but some of that money's going to the community center. We have a lot of work going on there. The downtown, we're doing the 5-way intersection over. And I got that 30-second sign, so I'm winging this right now. So, you know, if you don't know who I am, I got to stop. So thank you. I tried.
Thank you, Bob. Next up, if Caroline is ready, then Omar may begin.
Thank you, Victoria. Madam Chair, Executive Board, fellow Democrats, good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Omar Lopez. I'm a resident here in the village of Ossining, and I'm serving as the Deputy Mayor on our beloved Board of Trustees. I'm coming to you asking for your support for third terms. I've served now 3 years in office and really excited to do so. Bob talked about all the things that we have going on in the village, an incredible amount of momentum that we've been able to gain, partly due to the cooperative and friendly nature of the board. This is a no drama for your mama kind of board of trustees. We're here to go in, we do the work, we get out, we have fun. And the most important thing is having the right people on the board. And so if you can trust me for another 2 years of service, I promise you a few things. Number one, I will always take your thoughts into consideration when making decisions. We are not sages on the stage. We don't know it all. We're here to represent your values, your interests, your perspectives. And that means creating a village that works for everyone, for business owners, for residents, one that works for commuters, for parents, for people that are aging in place, for folks with disabilities, for all the people that make up our community. We want to take all those perspectives into account. We want to make it an accessible village, one where you can live, work, and play. And with that, I stop.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for abiding by the time. And next, Nicole, you have 90 seconds.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much to the committee and in particular the subcommittee that put together this tonight. My name is Nicole Varisco. I've been a resident of the village of Ossining since 2015. By profession, I am an attorney and I've represented many municipalities in litigation throughout all of New York State and sometimes New Jersey. I am committed to community service. That is why I am seeking your endorsement and seeking your support tonight. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am a first-time candidate, so I'm looking to hold office for the very first time on the village board. As far as my community service thus far, I think it's important. Several people have asked me, what have you done in Ossining since you've been here? I am a regular volunteer for the Pro Bono Partnership of Westchester, and I volunteer my time very often for numerous organizations that support women's goals and women empowerment. I'm also a volunteer at my children's school, and I am a wish granter, the unofficial wish granter of Ossining, because anytime there is a wish by a child in Ossining, I volunteer and I'm always selected to grant that wish. My goal is to make Ossining safer, to build the relationship between government and businesses, and to also support them through these DRI projects that are coming up. I also hope to work with community to link the waterfront to downtown Main Street. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Nicole. And now we will begin with the round of questions. Caroline, you have the opportunity to ask the first question of the candidates. After Caroline asks the question, Omar will respond first, followed by Nicole, and then Bob.
I would prefer someone else ask the question because I don't have them in front of me. I'm sorry.
No problem. I will ask this one then because I do have it in front of me. With the influx of millions of dollars in grant money, which projects are you most looking forward to? And what projects that weren't greenlit do you think were a missed opportunity or should happen next? If you'd like me to reread that, I can. Omar, you're first.
Thank you very much, Victoria. So I would say that the projects that I'm most excited about are the ones that are taking place right at the heart of our downtown. That's revitalizing the space that is right now a parking lot in front of the post office, and energizing our main street, because right now we only have half of a main street due to the tearing down of our village that happened during urban renewal. And so this is an effort to rebuild that space. Along with that comes, well, if there's not going to be parking there, where's the parking going to go? Is the multimodal facility where is going to be parking and charging for electric cars and bikes and all sorts of really exciting things. I think it has a lot of potential. In terms of what wasn't funded, I would say that I'm a liaison to the Sing Prison Museum. That was one specific project that was not funded, and one that I think has a lot of potential. And so I would like to see that continue to be supported.
Thank you very much. Next up is, excuse me, would be Nicole. If you'd like me to reread, I can.
No, I have it. Thank you so much. So I have to echo Omar on that. I'm most excited about the downtown and adding the parking that I think small businesses in our main street are going to benefit from so very much. I also am happy that we're going to be doing some revitalization down by the train station, because I think that's another key feature to our and I hope to see it grow as a bigger and more booming economic district in Ossining. I know it's come a long way since even I've moved here, and I want to see that continue. I'm also very excited about the rec center just because I have 2 young children who utilize that space so very much. As for what I think we need to, and I hope that we'll eventually obtain grant money for, I'd like to make Ossining more walkable, not just in the immediate Main Street area, but also up and around kids who are walking to school on the other side of the high school, for instance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicole. Next up, we have a question that will be read to us by Marlene.
Good evening, everyone.
I didn't answer.
When a large perspective,
Oh, Marlene, I did a terrible job.
Bob Fristche didn't go yet.
Bob Fristche didn't
sorry,
get to read
sorry.
it. No, totally my mistake, Bob. I'm sorry. Bob Fristche.
That's okay, Victoria. Thank you.
Very sorry. I'm very sorry. Go ahead, Bob.
All right. First of all, the community center, it's huge. It's used every day and night. We got money being poured into that. That's a fantastic thing. It's a well-needed, overdue facelift. Pools getting redone, new lighting, new locker rooms. It's just going to be great. Downtown, again, like Omar says, building downtown back and making it, economically strong and for people to live. If I was to say what didn't get picked up was what we're doing right now is the 5-way intersection. It's going to have a nice facelift, new curbs, new bump outs, safer for pedestrians. And that's about all I have right now. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. And again, I apologize for my lack of clarity and paying attention. Our next question is being provided by Marlene, and Nicole will respond first, followed by Bob, and then Omar.
good evening again. Sorry about that. The question is, when a large prospective development does not move forward for many years, what are your thoughts about the village potentially taking ownership of the property and guiding its future development? So that, I know that's a lot, but I can read it again. When a large prospective development does not move forward for many years, what are your thoughts about the village potentially taking ownership of the property and guiding its future development?
In that instance, I'd be very much in support of that. That gives us as the local government so much more control and opportunity to sort of bring our vision to life in that space. I mean, on the other hand, of course, there's going to be huge financial considerations to take into account in making that decision. So I think it's going to depend on the specific project. on the specific costs involved and the specific uses that the village might be considering using it for, or what they might selling it, however they might intend to then make use of that space. But that's something definitely that I actually would be in favor of.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Bob.
Thank you, Victoria. I am 100% in favor of taking over a project. I'm pretty sure I know where you're talking about, but we've had a slew of bad developers here, and it puts a bad light on the board. And we get promised the world, and they don't come through. So right now, we're working with a good developer down with the DPW site and prospectively on Spring and Main Street. So, but I am 100% in favor of it. It has been discussed, but we haven't gone any farther because there's other factors that are coming into place behind the scenes that we don't have all the answers on. But to answer your question, I'm 100% in favor of it.
Thank you, Bob. Omar?
Thank you, Victoria. This is one place where we'll draw a contrast. I respectfully disagree with my colleagues, Nicole and Bob, on this one. As a rule, everything is case by case. You have to take every single one of these particular developments case by case. But as a rule, I tend to be 100% against the village taking over a property that is kind of languishing for a very long time. Why? There are times when you have village-owned property, like Bob mentioned, the DPW site, where having village ownership makes it so that we can actually do something with it, much like we're seeing there. But a lot of times, it's a boondoggle. Look at the bank building at the top of Main Street that was gifted to the village for $1 and has been a thorn to in the side of many boards of trustees, not just ours. Getting rid of, being able to sell a building or a piece of land that is not being developed for a long time. There's a reason for it, folks, and it's because there's lots of issues. And if you think that we're the ones that are best positioned to do it, I happen to disagree.
Thank you very much. All right, our third and final question for village candidates will be brought to us by Christina.
Hi, everyone. Last year, the town and village of Ossining voted to move forward with allowing cannabis dispensaries, but opted out of cannabis lounges. Are you supportive of zoning regulations that prohibit where a dispensary can be opened?
The first person we will hear from in response to this question is Bob Fristche, followed by Omar, followed by Nicole.
So yes, I am. And presently we have had discussions. We've been going over zoning maps. We're deciding what a proper distance would be away from a school, a church, etc. We have not nailed anything down. And you are correct. We did opt in for dispensaries and we opted out on the lounges because I don't think we knew that much about it. So right now it's a work in progress, but I do believe, we should have distances and where they should be and shouldn't be and where they should be zoned for. So with that being said, we really haven't nailed anything down yet, but it has been discussed with the board. Thank you.
Okay, next up, Omar Lopez.
Thank you very much, Victoria. So last year, the village planner at the time made a presentation to the board that showed various maps for what it would look like to be most permissive and kind of least permissive when it came to where dispensaries can go in the village. And we have so many churches, so many schools, that even if you were to have the least permissive or the most permissive map, in which case you try to have as many dispensaries as possible. The reality is there are only a few places in the village where it even makes sense. It's probably the Arcadian. It's probably it. Maybe somewhere uptown, Highland Avenue, something like that. But the reality is that there just aren't a lot of places that even when you look at the minimum distance that dispensaries need to be from schools and churches, that they can be in the village. So I tend to want to find common sense places where there's not going to be a disturbance, but where folks can get the products that they need.
All right, and Nicole.
Well, I actually am in favor of the zoning of those types of businesses. I think that otherwise, there's really no option for us to protect those schools and churches that I know that we're concerned about. Mostly, I'm concerned about the schools. What I will say is that I think looking at what other neighboring municipalities have done often proves helpful. It may be an application process that they have to put in or something of that nature. I don't, if the zoning is an issue. One thing I will say is that I'm on the Westchester County Bar Association as one of the committee members, and there is a cannabis law committee. So if that is something we were going to explore, which I think has actually been explored, that's a resource that I would look to and ask, well, what are the other municipalities doing? What have they done to sort of regulate that industry without zoning laws? So that's how I would handle that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all of your responses to our questions. We now have, each candidate has 1 minute to provide a closing statement, and we will begin with Omar.
Thank you. I hope you gave me a second to find the unmute button. Really grateful for the questions and everyone having the time and attention tonight. I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve the public, and also grateful for Nicole and Bob also raising their hands to serve as village trustees. We need good people. These are 3 good people. Well, there's 2 good people and me. So I urge your support for me. But listen, if it turns out it's Bob and Nicole, I'll be there January 1st, 12 o'clock saying congratulations, because everybody here is for the betterment of the village. And I'll be here to serve Ossining no matter what. I hope that it's as trustee once again, but if it's as a dude sitting in the audience and saying, I have a question during the comment public period at the end of the meeting, so be it. So thank you, Democrats. Appreciate your support. And you'll hear from me a little bit later tonight during the speech. Thank you.
No, Omar, this is your speech.
I thought that.
No, because
Right?
you
Is
Q&A
addressing
cannot.
the
Yes.
right?
No, I'm sorry, because you did the Q&A. This is your opportunity to speak.
Oh, got it. So I thought that at 8:55, candidate 3-minute remarks from candidates who did not have the opportunity to address the committee in December. That's not happening?
It is, but that was for candidates who aren't already speaking as 1/3 of this Q&A.
Got it. I didn't see the asterisk. All good. Well,
Sorry for not being
this is
more
it, folks. This is it. Get your fill. All you're getting from me. So thank you very much.
We do encourage you to reach out to district leaders and for district leaders to follow up with you with any specific questions or concerns. I'm sorry if that wasn't clear, that I didn't distinguish for you. Thank you. Next up, we have Nicole.
Thank you very much again for the opportunity to speak tonight. Thank you for everyone who is logged in and I can't see for coming and listening to the questions. Your involvement is so important. And I really appreciate any questions that you have for me after tonight. I'm happy to speak to anybody. I know I've spoken to a bunch of people already who had very valid questions. They said, why you? You know, and I think I answered a little bit about that, but the fact of the matter is, if I didn't say it loud enough already, I am very much committed to this community. I'm going to be here a long time. I have 2 little kids who I'm gonna see through, hopefully graduate Ossining High School. Thank you very much again, and I hope that I will speak to a lot of you in the upcoming weeks. Have a great night.
Thank you, Nicole. And now, Bob, you have the final closing remark.
Thank you, Victoria. And once again, thank you to the committee. Thomasina, thank you for everything. Yes, I'm in my 3rd year and I do have my name in to run for a 3rd term. I would love nothing more than to serve the village, serve the constituents. I believe the board that we have now is a very cohesive board. We bounce off each other, even though Omar says one thing, I might say another. We always come to a happy, there's no split votes. I don't think we've ever had a split vote on things. It's usually very a majority vote. You know, we talk it out. Again, I'm born and raised in Ossining, seeking my 3rd term. I would love nothing more than your support to be your trustee for a 3rd term in the village of Ossining. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Please enjoy the rest of your night. Good night.
Thank you very much to all of the village candidates. Christina, if you could please bring Pat Yost and Bob Daraio, make them panelists as we bid farewell to our village trustee candidates. Thank you very much, Bob, Omar, Nicole. It's been a pleasure. As Bob Daraio and Pat Yost move on over to get on screen, they will each have 3 minutes to speak to the committee. And then from there, we will go into the Q&A format for the town council members. All right, Pat Yost.
Thank you very much. First of all, want to say thank you to the committee and thank you to Victoria for the introduction. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Pat Yost. I had submitted my name to both the town council to be considered for the vacant appointment and also to the Democratic Committee for his consideration for appearing on the ballot in the November election. I'm a first-time candidate, was a first-time candidate. I've been in the village for 20 years and I'm a long-time volunteer. And for now, I had hoped to take advantage of my experience and apply that to some of the challenges that face the town moving forward. Given that the town has chosen Matt in the current situation, I felt like now might not be the appropriate time for me. But I did want to take this opportunity to say a couple of thank yous, and also to those of the people, to those who I haven't met, just say a little bit about myself, because I'm hoping to stay involved moving forward and to be considered for other positions potentially in the future. So first of all, thank you to the town council for the interview opportunity and for considering me. Thank you to the district leaders who I have had an opportunity to speak with over the course of the last couple of weeks that I've reached out to. I really enjoyed speaking with you, introducing myself to you and talking about the issues. And to those who I didn't get a chance to speak with, I wanted to say I hope to speak with you at some point over the next several years as I continue to stay involved. I've done a lot over the last 15 years that I think is absolutely relevant to the future challenges to the area, whether that be through serving on the Recreation Advisory Board, the Ossining Children's Center, and being very, very steeped in our youth issues and educational issues and how to leverage the green space from that within the parks across both the town and the villages. And also within the Rec Advisory Board, also learning and supporting a lot of the grant applications that you've heard about earlier, and really kind of coming up with unique and creative ways to support constituents of all ages across the area, whether that be through from that perspective. As co-leader of the village comprehensive planning committee, I'm really want to leverage that experience and understanding land use and the challenges and trade-offs between housing and tax base and the maintenance of green space. And I'm hoping to leverage that along with my work down at the waterfront and in the stormwater protection program committee. So once again, I just want to say thank you very much to everybody. To those who I hadn't been able to introduce myself to, I wanted to say hello. And to the candidates who are remaining in the run, best of luck to all of you. I'm sure that no matter who ends up winning the position in the election, we're going to have a great town council moving forward.
And you are very good at telling time. Well done. Thank you, Pat. Bob, would you like to speak for a few minutes, up to 3 minutes?
Hi, most of you know me. I'm Bob Daraio. I'm a former two-term village trustee, currently on the Village of Ossining Zoning Board of Appeals. I put my name in to be considered for the open position on the town council. And I have to say, the process was amazing. 10 people put their names in and their credentials. And then each of the 10 potential candidates were given an in-depth interview. So I applaud the town council for the due diligence that they did in picking the person to fill the unexpired term. Because I'm a team player and I have tremendous affection and respect for the folks on the town board. 3 out of the 4 that we're interviewing folks are decades-long personal friends. So I know that they worked really hard. And what I'm going to do is withdraw my name for candidacy and instead ask the folks that would be supporting me to support Matt Weiss. I don't believe in primarying, so I will carry petitions for whoever the candidates are that make up the Ossining slate endorsed by this committee. It has been an honor and a privilege to be a district leader on this committee. I can't tell you how proud I am to see the work that's been done. And I hope to continue to serve in any way that I can be of use. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you, Bob, very much. And as we say goodnight to Bob and Pat, Christina will be bringing Steve Felsenfeld, Matt Weiss, and Greg Meyer onto the panel so that we may begin the town council Q&A. As was stated, there were originally 10 candidates who interviewed with the town. The town, just to clarify, the town council appointed Matt Weiss to complete the final year of the term that was vacated by Liz Feldman when she became the town supervisor. What we are what we are considering for our endorsement vote in 2 weeks is who are the 2 candidates that we will see on the ballot in November who will be running for full 4-year terms. The Ossining Town Democratic Committee is not beholden to the town council, just as the town council was able to make their decision in appointing Matt Weiss without first getting permission from us. That said, it is often the case, I will say, that when the time works out like this, as we saw last year with Jen Tawil, that the person who was appointed by the town council did ultimately garner the endorsement of the town committee, but that is not an obligation. And so now we have an opportunity to hear from 3 candidates who are seeking our endorsement. Ultimately, in 2 weeks, only 2 candidates, the 2 that have the highest weighted vote, will have our endorsement to run for a full term in November. And we randomly selected the order. The opening statements will be in this order: Steve Felsenfeld, Matt Weiss, and Greg Meyer. There is is anybody else hearing a little bit of feedback? Steve, I think
Yes, Steve needs to mute.
Yeah, Steve, mute, although he's going to be the first person to speak. So, but for anyone, when you're not speaking, go ahead and mute. But I will, the timing is right. Go ahead, Steve. You have 1.5 minutes. Carolyn is ready with her timer.
Thank you, Victoria. My name is Stephen Felsenfeld. I thank the committee for its hard work in fostering this opportunity, and the Ossining Town Democratic Committee for its efforts always to advance the interests of Ossining. I've been a Democrat going back to the days of Bobby Kennedy. I first registered here in Ossining in 1989. I served this committee as an officer from 1990 to 1997, first as its treasurer and then as co-chairman. Upon my return to Ossining 10 years ago, I immediately rejoined and have since served as a member of this committee. I've also been active in my community and been a member of the Ossining Fire Department since 1989. And proud of my military service, have been a member of the Ossining American Legion Post 506. And included service on boards of directors since 2004 for it, and going back to 2015 to the American Legion in Westchester County. While for the past 5 years, I have served on the OVAC Board of Directors. I'm an attorney and never afraid to ask tough questions. I firmly believe that the town of Ossining deserves and needs independent voices, someone grounded and knowledgeable in its political culture and in its geographic culture, not one indebted to benefactors or granted a position by dint of some geographic notion. In fact, we now have 2 members of the board of 5 who claim to be residents of this unincorporated area. That's 40%, when in fact the population of the unincorporated area is but 1 in 6, or 17% of the jurisdictional population of Ossining's town board. All that said, the #1 reason you should vote for me, I never have and never will be afraid to ask the question, why?
Thank you. Next up, we have Matt Weiss. You have a minute and a half, please. You need to unmute yourself, Matt. We can't hear you. And Steve, please do mute yourself.
Thank you very much, everyone. I wanted to share a few of the experiences I've had over the last 9 years as a trustee and president of the Ossining Public Library, because some of these experiences I feel give me a unique understanding about our community and make me a qualified candidate for this position. Back in 2017, our community was faced with the possibility that there might be raids by immigration and ICE officers. And the library took a very proactive approach. We brought together officials from the New York State Attorney General's office, the Ossining Police, the school, the mayor's office, the county executive's office, and developed a coordinated response to the possibility of ICE raids. We trained our staff and we provided printed material for our staff and patrons to read to ICE officers that they are requesting legal assistance. But we didn't stop there. We also coordinated to host the embassy staff from Ecuador to come to the Ossining Library and help citizens and help our residents apply for citizenship. The current strategic plan of the library was initiated in 2021 and includes diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it's the first and only library in Westchester to do so. I've worked on the comprehensive plan and on the equity task force. And I must tell you, this is a wonderful community. And these days, I see former classmates of my children who are in their 30s buy homes in Ossining. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now Greg Meyer. You have
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. Thank you to the members of the subcommittee for doing all of this work and putting it together. Thank you to our chairwoman and my fellow district leaders. As many of you know, I am up for re-election, and I appreciate everybody's support the first time I ran, and I hope I've earned your trust for my re-election. I believe that my time on the town, we've accomplished a lot, and I believe I bring a lot to the table. Beyond what I do for the town council, I've spent my whole career in public service. I'm currently the acting general counsel and deputy general counsel for the Office of Addiction Services. And prior to that, I was the chief of staff for Senator Pete Harcum, our new senator. I believe that gives me an interesting perspective to know how to secure state grants, how the state can be assistance. And prior to my experience with the state, I was the assistant county attorney under George Latimer. So I know how the county can help us as well. So I believe my experience is very helpful to the board. I thank everybody for their time, and I look forward to more discussion with Steve and Matt. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. And now we will move on to our first question, which is going to be asked by Christina, and we will hear in this order, Matt, Greg, and then Stephen.
Hi, everyone. Last year, the town and village of Ossining voted to move forward with allowing cannabis dispensaries, but opted out of cannabis lounges. Are you supportive of zoning regulations that prohibit where a dispensary can be opened?
Yes, I am assuredly in favor of that restriction. I think that while many people consider cannabis to be similar to liquor, they're both substances that can be abused. And I think the impact of the location of these dispensaries is very important. Each opportunity that we have to control the way our community appears to everyone is important. And appearance, beyond appearances, the way business is conducted is also extremely important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, Greg.
Sure. Yeah, I do believe in zoning, and just to go back to the original part of the question, I believe I'm the only member of the village or town board to vote in favor of both on-site and dispensary consumption. That said, I do believe that zoning is an important aspect. Where we put these places, I think, is important. And my colleagues and I have had important discussions. We don't want them too close to where our children are. As I alluded to earlier, I am the Deputy General Counsel at the Office of Addiction Services. So I'm well aware of what controlled substances can do and how they can harm the body. and what they can do for children. So I think we have to be very careful about where we put them, but I do think I'd prefer to see them in our town and have other towns collecting that money and have people drive elsewhere to get it. So I am supportive, but I do think we have to look at zoning restrictions as we have begun to do already in the town. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And Stephen.
This is not an issue that I've researched in great depth, but the need to protect our youth has to always be our priority number one. That said, I would seek to as fully and fairly investigate the arguments based upon their merits and come down on the side of what makes the most sense for Ossining and makes the most sense for Ossining's children. Thank you. Okay, our second question this evening. Caroline, do you have it in front of you or would you like me to read it? Okay, I will read it then. The town and village have a number of intermunicipal agreements and sharing of services. How will you work to ensure that they continue and efficiencies continue to improve? Are there changes you would like to see? Greg, you happen to respond first.
Sure.
Stephen, then Matt.
Great. No, great question. And actually, this is something we are taking a very serious look at the town. The supervisor has directed staff to try to check out some of the IMAs. A lot of them are actually expired. And it's something we're looking into and trying to explore how we could work better with the village and also how we could work better with the village of Briarcliff, which is something that's been difficult sometimes. But there's opportunities with both communities to share services, to save money, and to make sure that our residents still get the benefits that they need. So we're working on it, and as deputy town supervisor, I'm going to keep working on it.
Okay, the next person who's able to respond is Stephen.
Yeah, the notion of shared services is something that has been a very important aspect of Ossining over the years. At one point, they were talking about the notion of consolidation, which was a little bit different, but it was all predicated on that they would be sharing services between the village and the town. More and more over time, we want to see that we can find different ways to save government from expending lots of funds and finding cost-effective ways where our community of 40,000 people can work together to leverage those opportunities. That's something better than just the 27,500 who live in the village, the 7,000 who live in Briarcliff, and the 5,500 who live in the unincorporated section, trying to do things alone. So those are always important opportunities for us to seek out, because the notion of mass allows us to save money typically when we go in the marketplace.
Thank you very much. And now Matthew.
As a resident of Meikle Road in the town, all of the services are seamless. I don't really know the distinction when I see a police car drive by if that officer originated with the village or with the town. I don't see distinctions when I go to the parks, or it's just a terrific system is what I'm trying to say. And I think that there may not be a specific solution to maintaining this forever, but the effort that the people have been accomplishing this has to be really lauded and applauded. I would make every effort to continue that strategy and to find ways to expand it if that's conceivable. Thank you.
Thank you. And our third and final question is going to be asked by Marlene Cheatham. And we will hear from Stephen, then followed by Matthew, then by Greg.
So my question for the town candidates is, what are the three most important issues you will prioritize as a town council member? What are the three most important issues you will prioritize as a town council member?
I think to explore for the town itself, if there are opportunities available, green business opportunities that we can encourage, because the tax base on much of the unincorporated section is not very great. It's very dependent upon upon the condominiums, and Ossining in and of itself pays a lot of taxes because we don't have a very strong and deep business base. So that'd be one thing I'd like to see happen. I understand that we are in the process of putting a firehouse out in the eastern part of our community, in the unincorporated section. And I would encourage and expand upon whatever efforts we're able to make sure that happens. The last thing is that I have to disagree with Matt. I don't believe that the town gets the proper police protection that it should. I think that we need to re-examine that, make sure that they're getting the proper coverage.
Thank you.
They
Thank
were
you,
much served at one point by having a police department. They don't have that anymore.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
And next we'll hear from Matt.
Thank you. A couple of things that come to the forefront for me. One is maintaining open spaces. I feel that an open space is critical because once it is developed, it won't become an open space again. I also think that there might be opportunities to have affordable housing. And I know that many people in my community think that's a bad idea, but I think it's something that needs to be reviewed on a regular basis. And thirdly, I'm always looking at the opportunities to expand the tax revenue base. And we talked tonight about cannabis and its sale, and that might be an opportunity. But as Steve mentioned, the balance between commercial and residential tax burdens is something that needs to be considered. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now Greg.
Thank you. So my three biggest priorities right now are, first of all, is citizen engagement. I think we are working, but it's been a struggle to get more citizens involved. We did start an equity task force to get more people involved that traditionally haven't been. And we're trying to do more outreach to make sure everybody feels like they could be a part of government if they want to be. We have a lot of boards that need volunteers. I also think we need to continue to work on responsible development. And what does that look like? We have a zoning subcommittee that I'm a part of, and we're looking at different ways to rezone things and to make sure that development is done responsibly in a way that's best for the community. And finally, the environment. And I think we've made tremendous progress on that. I know that was a real focus of our former supervisor, Dana Levenberg, and I think it's a focus as well for Liz Feldman, and something we're committed to is just making sure that our town is leading the way and not following when it comes to the environment.
Thank you. And now we will have time for each candidate. We'll give a 1 minute long closing statement, beginning with Matt, followed by Greg, and then Stephen.
I want to thank everyone for this opportunity. And I want to say that it's been very rewarding to come to a group of people who largely don't know me, but who have been open to hearing what I have to say. There is a tremendous opportunity for us to make progress because we're all civil with each other. And it's very sad to see what's going on the national scene and the news, the way people address each other and treat each other. We're blessed that we don't have that situation in Ossining, and I hope that we continue to treat each other with respect, and that we continue to work towards making Ossining a safe place for all residents, and also to make it an attractive community where people who want to find a place to live will consider Ossining for the many reasons we talked about, including affordability. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And for 1 minute for your closing statement, please, Greg.
Sure. Thanks again, everybody, for having me, and thank you to Stephen and Matt for the answers to some tough questions. Ossining is a great place to live. I'm proud to raise my kids here. My son recently started at Park School. My daughter's still in daycare, but soon she'll be going to the schools. And we want to make sure it continues to be a great place to live, a great place to raise a family. It just as it always has been. And the green spaces are great. And most importantly, for us, the people are great. I've gotten to know a lot of you in the time that I've been in Ossining, which has been about 8 years now. And I'm very happy and very pleased and very grateful for all the relationships I've formed just through this committee. So thank you all for your friendship. And once again, I hope that I've earned your support.
Thank you. And now, Stephen, you get the last closing remark.
I want to thank you each and all for your caring for our Ossining, illustrated by your participation here tonight. My background, my resume, they speak for themselves, but it is to my nature to question in a methodical, full and fair way. That is what I feel separates me from my compatriot candidates for this office. I hold it in the greatest of esteem, but I realize the choice here is yours, each of you. And I ask you to each consider your ballot, that you have the choice of who you would like to see sitting on that town board. I will support the sound judgment of this committee, and I'll support our nominees. And so in closing, I'll ask you to give me a call if you want to talk to me, 914-844-4911. And I'll look forward to giving you a call on the alternative. Please consider my candidacy favorably. I pray you and thank you and good night.
Thank you very much to all of the candidates who participated in the Q&A tonight.